episode of Road to Yukon, I paddled a 100-mile training week and came to the conclusion that mental fortitude was the thing I needed to train, even though it could be argued that Jen has enough mental fortitude for the both of us. As we've already discovered, Jen's daily routine is not for the faint of mind, but more importantly, Jen shared that routine is what actually enables her to fit training into a busy schedule.
Typical day. Well, I'm a very routine person, so everything I do is in routine. I basically wake up in the morning on a training day, which is every day during the week. I wake up in the morning at about 3:30. I drive down to the Aloi, which is pretty much the only consistent flat water we have around here. I go there, I train anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, get off the water, come to my house. By that time it's 5-6 o'clock. Wake up my son, get him ready, get breakfast, do all that stuff, get ready for the day. He has to be at school by 7 so that I can be to work by 8. So then I work from 8 to 2, then I go pick him up, and then I take him training because his goal is to be a pro surfer. So then we do homework, and then I do my homework because I'm also going to school. And then I also, in the evenings, sometimes when he's doing his homework, I go to the gym when it's weight day or cardio day. So the night before I know I'm going to wake up early, I have my breakfast ready because I can't train on an empty stomach no matter how early it is. I have to eat. So I'll have my food ready, all my gear ready, everything ready to go. Sometimes I even sleep in my clothes that I'm going to paddle in just so I can get up and go. Because I do procrastinate in the morning, trust me. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, nah, I'm not going today. Then I'm like, yes, you have to. No, you don't. Yes, you do. No, you don't. And I do that whole thing. Sometimes I even walk out the door and then walk back in the house and I'm like, do this. So yeah, it's hard. So I try to make it easier on myself by having everything ready so that I know, hey, it's ready. You're going. Go. And basically that every single day. So there's not really a moment where I'm doing anything else. It's very routine. There's a time for everything. I have to wake up at this time if I'm going to be able to train, if I'm going to be able to do this.
While she's finding ways to fit in training, I'm trying to find ways to test gear for cold and wet conditions in sunny and warm California. Camera down to the harbor and get some footage of me getting my mileage in the dumping rain. I wanted it to be a little cooler than that. Be like, yeah, building up my mileage for the Yukon 1000. Look how badass I am. No, Mother Nature's like, nah, we'll keep you a pansy. We're not gonna develop any grit before you paddle 1,000 miles. 2.5 hours, got my audiobook, got my Salt Life performance gear. Happy whether it starts raining or not. Taking out the new Kahele. It's still gonna be like victory at sea once I get outside the harbor. I wore underneath in case it was raining and was gonna get cold my Smart Wool. Probably don't need that either. Probably gonna overheat. I also have an emergency baggie filled with neoprene and things to keep me safe on this gorgeous sunny day. You know what I do need protection from? Staphylococcus. Almost on cue, the sky opened up and the rain started pouring down. Just what I wanted. And I was prepared too. I was getting to test out some of my Yukon rain gear, base layers, and paddle in crappy weather. I was truly happy. Be careful what you wish for. After a nice, long, cold, rainy paddle building up my mental strength, I was elated to see that my Inside Tracker results had arrived. All right, my Inside Tracker blood test is here. Now that I'm looking at them, I'm not so happy. My white blood cells, non-existent. That's scary. Glucose is high, LDL is high, iron is low, B12 is weirdly high, sodium's really low. Could use some more magnesium. All right, some quick reading because I just can't stand not to read. I could have been exposed to some virus or a bacteria. Staphylococcus. I could pick something up in the water that I'm in all the time. I tend to undereat when it comes to my training load. and I do tend to overcompete. It's not overtraining. I don't train more than enough, but I compete more than I should, and I put more stress on my body than I should. And the logical next step after consulting a physician is just to retest in 6 months and see if it continues to be low. That's going to be the most important thing I can do. So I'll get it tested. The plan is to test before Yukon. So while I've been figuring out what's going on up here and in here, since Jen has a lot more experience in the ultra distance racing department, she has been really working on organizing what gear we're gonna need for the entire trip.
Absolutely must have, right off the bat, you have to have rain gear. You have to. Because out there, especially on Lake LaBarge, I mean, it can go from nice sunny day to torrential downpour. The lake can turn into the raging sea. I mean, it's just, people don't believe it, but I've seen it happen. Gotta have that rain gear, because if you get hypothermia, you can't reverse it. You've got to get, professional medical care. So for me, it's having stuff to stay warm. I feel like a lot of people worry about, having stuff to cool them off. You've got the river for that. Like, you've got to have the stuff to keep your body warm. So these, I think you would be really interested in, insulated pants to keep us warm. We cannot have enough of these on the Yukon. So this also has a shirt with it. Insulation, and then you definitely want waterproof Hyprotex. Yeah, these are so sick. So I have these in a different color and a little bit of a different style. But I wore these on Lake LaBarge as like my rain gear. Didn't get wet. Wore some insulation underneath. That way at the end of the lake I could just take off the rain gear and be good to go. These, I have the Mavericks and the Hydraskin gloves. So these are the Forecast. And of course they button together, which is freaking awesome, so we never lose them. So these are the Hydraskin. So these I love. They're just really thin gloves. I mean, these are must-haves for Yukon. Bill's bag. This thing's awesome. So I have a red one. I asked for a yellow one. So this thing is huge. We can put all our tents and all our stuff in there. Got more straps. Can't have enough straps. Boss knife. So I've already used this knife. I really love it. The Boss knife is cool. It has a blunt tip so you don't stab yourself or other things. So this one is really cool because on the NRS life jackets, like the Ion that I have, they have the knife lash tab here. And then of course I asked for lots of dried eggs in all different sizes. So exciting. Yeah, so Hydrolock dry sack. So these are really cool because they're really lightweight and thin, all different colors, so we can label them. I requested this in case we need to get water out of the canoe because we flip, because those canoes can get really heavy and they don't have a drain hole. So we have this paddler's medical kit. Everything that's required for these races, everything that's on the medical kit list is in this thing. I mean, this thing is like complete and then some. It's exciting! Thank you, NRS. Get a mosquito net. There's lots of mosquitoes on the Yukon. I have a really funny story about the mosquito net. So my dad gives me this sick mosquito net, like I'm talking like full body mosquito net thing. And I peed all over it in the Yukon River Quest because it was in the bottom of my boat, and I eventually was just peeing because I just couldn't, you'll see what I mean at a certain point. So when I pulled over to the place that I needed it the most, which was Coffee Creek, I can't even tell you, I put this thing on and I'm like, it smells like pee. So I couldn't wear it, and I swear to God I had 200 chigger and mosquito bites all over my face. It just everywhere. It was a nightmare.
There's that pesky peeing problem again. I'm pretty sure I've got a solution. Outside of that, I'm feeling confident in her gear selection. My gear wasn't failing, but I was substantially off in quantities I would need for an unsupported race lasting multiple days. Even though there's plenty for us to do individually, this is a team race, and there's certain things that we've got to figure out together. So I'm making a lot of the food for the trip, but I don't want to show up and her not having tasted any of it. I think we should paddle together, even if we're not able to paddle together in the same craft. But I'm stuck here in California, soon to be North Carolina, and she's all the way in Hawaii. I think a trip is in order. Okay, so we made from the Dehydrator cookbook for outdoor adventures. I think what we're doing qualifies as an outdoor adventure. I made a chicken mushroom tomato pilaf. It's like a couscous pilaf. This is gonna be a hot soak for dinner. In the evening. The second meal I made is it's a lentil cold soak. So this will be something where we're on the river, and it's something we would eat for lunch because it doesn't require heated water. We just dump in some cold water, maybe river water if we're in an area that isn't very silty, and that is going to rehydrate in about 30 minutes, and we'll be able to eat lunch while still paddling. We don't have to stop or anything like that because we are trying to get off of that 1,000-mile course as fast as humanly possible. And I am dehydrating them, and I'm gonna bring them with me next week for Jen to taste test. Of course, I'm gonna like it. I'll eat anything, but I have to make sure that my teammate and partner is happy. All right, the dehydrator ran at 140 degrees for 8 hours, and 2 of the things came out very well dehydrated. The chicken mushroom couscous pilaf, perfect, and the red lentil cold soak, also looking very nice. The chili, however, was still a little squishy, so I popped it on for 2 more hours, and now look at that. We have delicious to-go dehydrated chili, all made at home. I am using reusable lunch bags to pack all of the dehydrated meals. We're not going to see any added weight by using reusable bags anyway. Meals that you buy from stores, they're coming in plastic, and once you're done with those, you have to pack that plastic out anyway, so we're going to have to paddle with it. So there's absolutely no reason to use plastic in this scenario. Yes, it takes more time to make it yourself instead of buy it, but this is ensuring that we're getting the right macronutrients for our bodies and for our effort level, and it's also ensuring that we don't, cause any more pollution than needed. The one thing that I did make yesterday that is not going to make it to Hawaii for taste testing is my peanut butter date cookies. Although the flavor is great, watch this. They're really, really crumbly. So, unfortunately, here, Corey, say hi to Jen. Hi, Jen. These aren't gonna make it. What do you think?
How do you feel?
Why? Oh, hold on.
You gotta take the seed out of the date.
I did. They're pitted dates.
That one's not pitted.
Well, Jen, at least we didn't break a tooth in the Yukon. Let me get back to the kitchen. All right, flying out this evening to Honolulu. I had ordered a new camera since I lost my GoPro, and it came.
In 1,000 feet, turn right onto Pine Avenue.
But it wasn't going to be delivered until after I had left for the airport. I had the option to set up a pickup at the UPS, and I just got it just in the nick of time. So I'm driving over there right now, and not only, bonus, did I get my camera in time to head to Hawaii for training, but Garden of Life shipment arrived just in time so that I'm gonna get the most out of my training, because nutrition and recovery is absolutely key. Well, nutrition is key to getting my next blood test results back to normal, so I'm fit enough to compete in something like the Yukon 1000. This trip for Jen and I to meet up and work together on race logistics is a huge step in our preparations. Jen can taste the food and we can train together. Once there, we can talk a little bit more about navigation and plan the year ahead. Stay tuned for the next episode.